Let me say good night. Let me say good night to all the wonderful people of Roseau North, and in particular, the people of Fokole. Let me greet the man who shall continue to be the Member of Parliament for Roseau North, Honorable Julius Timothy. Let me also greet the campaign team of the Roseau North Labour Party constituency. Let me greet my other colleague candidates who are here this evening. Let me especially recognize Tony Astefan, who continues to carry the torch on the Next Level program, educating and informing the Dominican people. And let me recognize all of those persons listening via live broadcast of this very important meeting this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a betting man, but I told someone earlier this evening that I had my doubts about the success of tonight's meeting due to the overcast and intermittent rain we have had all day. That residents of this Roseau North constituency said to me, "Bossman, the people of Roseau North are ready. If they have to take a boat to reach that meeting, they are coming to this meeting in Fokole tonight, and I can see that the Roseau North is here at this meeting tonight." So I am relieved and indeed overjoyed that there are so many of you in attendance here at Fokole this evening in spite of the threatening rain. And I am especially heartened by the number of faces I recognize from Fokole, Goodwill, Santa Roma, and surrounding communities, Stock Farm, Yampis, and Goto Village. What this tells me, ladies and gentlemen, is that Roseau North is ready for December 8th, 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I wish to begin by saluting Julius Timothy, who, notwithstanding personal physical challenges in the past 2 years, has signaled his determination to see to fruition several of the projects he has initiated and which are at an advanced stage of readiness. I have repeatedly in the last 2 weeks spoken on the issue of the need for persons to have commitment and a sense of purpose when involved in politics. If you are in public life merely for personal gain or glorification, you can enter or leave at any time. If you are truly committed to the task and to improvement in the lives of people, you leave when the job is done. Half of the candidates of the Workers' Party in these elections never had interest in country or people, and that is why few, if any, voters know them. They have turned to politics because their preferred professions fail them. The careers of choice have not been profitable, so they have chosen to enter politics. If they are not successful in this time around, I predict that you will not see 60% of them returning in the next 5 years. Have you ever wondered why it is that every election the United Workers' Party has to present more than 10 new candidates? It is because among them there is no commitment, there is no conviction, there is no resolve to help build country or advance people. They enter politics, it does not work out for them, and they leave politics and go on to other things. But not so with the Dominica Labour Party. Those who have entered and lost are eager to continue the struggle. That's why you saw Comrade Baptiste in Marigot energetically and supporting Dr. Christmas. That's why you saw Comrade Royer in Salisbury actively involved in the campaign and excitedly supporting Nichols Esprit. That's why tonight Alvin Bernard is once again the candidate for Roseau Central. On this platform, We are all on this platform, we are all in this for the long haul. Those on the other side have no record of service to country or community. They failed in their respective careers and are now looking to politics and public life as a saving grace. Julius Timothy, ladies and gentlemen, is cut totally from a different cloth. His record as a politician is one of service. Indeed, even as a member of the United Workers' Party, it was to Julius Timothy that many Workers' Party supporters looked to for humanistic and responsive ear and approach to their concerns. There are supporters of the United Workers' Party who tonight still wish that Julius Timothy was in that party, because he was the only person in that party to whom they could turn to for a listening ear or a sensitivity to issues that affected them. So Julius Timothy, my brothers and sisters, is not in politics today for personal gain. Julius Timothy is not contesting this election to secure himself financially. I will go as far as to say that, given his known private investments, Julius Timothy might be making a personal financial sacrifice by remaining in politics. But he is a committed and devoted individual, a man who loves Dominica and Dominicans. I spoke to him very candidly last year, and Julius said to me, "Prime Minister, I need one more term to see a few crucial projects to fruition. There are a few things I have promised the people of Roseau North, and I could not live with myself if I did not see them through to completion." Even when Julius Timothy was visited by sickness last year, his preoccupation on his sickbed was with seeking an update on when certain projects could get started. I know he has a passion for the new General Hospital to be built in this constituency. A $200 million state-of-the-art hospital for Dominicans. I know he's very excited about a proposed new indoor sports facility to be located at Stock Farm. I know as well that he desperately wants to see the next phase of the housing revolution visited upon this constituency in a major way. So Julius Timothy, ladies and gentlemen, is not knocking on your doors to promote his self-interest. Julius Timothy is tonight seeking a new mandate to resume and conclude the many projects he has outlined for his constituency, but which have been delayed due to the impact of the crippling global economic recession. And that brings me to the issue, ladies and gentlemen, of teamsmanship and team spirit. Julius Timothy could have thrown a tantrum and pounded on the desk to demand all that he wanted for Roseau North. But in traveling around Dominica, he recognized that there were other areas equally or even more desperately in need of attention. On all occasions, there was a cake to be shared. Julius Timothy said to me, "PM, let us share the cake. I will explain to my people what had to be done." Ladies and gentlemen, this is the hallmark of a team player. That is the characteristic of a great leader, Julius Timothy. That is the type of attitude and approach I want in my parliamentary team. And that is why tonight I am asking voters of Roseau North to give Julius Timothy one more term in Parliament to continue his work on your behalf. As I said at the Bayfront and again last evening in La Plaine, I need the experience of Julius Timothy to help guide the 6 new candidates we are running in these elections. I need the knowledge and experience of a Julius Timothy, an Ambrose George, or a Reginald Ostry to help give confidence to some of the younger ministers who will be taking on greater responsibility next time around. For voters of Roseau North, this election is not just about choosing Peter over Paul. It is about choosing a leap and avoiding a fall. It is about determining the best way forward for Dominica and for your children. Some people say, but I have not seen Tim a lot this past term. I said to you this evening, be reasonable. Julius Timothy underwent a life-threatening experience, and it is credit to his will and determination and a divine intervention of the Almighty God that he is with us this evening and seated on this platform. Health is not something you take for granted to make mockery sport about. This man took seriously ill and was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his speech. He was fighting for his mobility. Come on, my dear people, let us be reasonable in our approach to this matter. Yes, you may not have seen him in the alleyways and cross streets, but he never stopped working for you, the people of Roseau North. Julius Timothy fell ill and he was back on his desk before doctors gave him the green light to so do. He was up from his bed and out into the constituency before his rehabilitation therapist said he should. That is the hallmark of commitment, ladies and gentlemen. And I denounce tonight anyone who says Julius Timothy did not do his best under the circumstances. You sent Julius Timothy to Parliament to speak on your behalf, and his contributions in that August chamber were always of the highest standard. Julius Timothy is our resident political encyclopedia. He knows and understands the Dominican society like no other person in politics in Dominica. I appointed him Minister of Health, and under his watch, remarkable positive changes have come about in the quality of healthcare in Dominica. I know it is his personal wish to see the new hospital project through to fruition. I know he's passionate about our being able, as a country, to provide several of the services we now pay so dearly to acquire overseas. Julius Timothy was not absent from a football game or graduation ceremony because of indifference. He was ill. But now he is well on the road to recovery, and we have seen a much more focused and determined Julius Timothy in recent months. So I am appealing to voters of Roseau North this evening to be reasonable and objective in your assessment. On this note, you also have to consider the depth of the person offering themselves as a replacement to Julius Timothy in this constituency. What is his motivation? What is driving him? What is his record of commitment to anything or anyone other than himself? Can you trust him to stay by you once he has been elected? Is he likely to stick around if he's not successful on December 8th? Voters of Roseau North, you have to ask yourselves these biting questions. You cannot simply threaten to use your vote as a weapon. You have to vote for the better candidate, for the better party, for the better leader. You have to vote in Roseau North for the better group of individuals to run this country for the next 5 years. Julius Timothy has been elected to Parliament on the tickets of both political parties because he's known and trusted by the people of Roseau North. When he first ran for Labour in 2009, he brought the seat to Labour. He was able to do that because many of you came to Labour as a result of Julius Timothy. You know Julius Timothy, ladies and gentlemen. Do not allow others to cloud your judgment about who Julius Timothy is. Tonight, I have come here to Focolate to say to you that I am relying on your support in December 8th general elections. I also want to warn of the real and present danger inherent in the election of the alternative party at this time. Many of you may think it will not matter as you work in the private sector or you on your own, or you have your own business. But I am here to say to you this evening that the election of the United Workers' Party government under the leadership of Lennox Linton would make a world of a difference to the life of every single Dominican resident at home and abroad. We advised against the leadership of Edison James in 2000 and 2005. We implored you not to vote for Ron Green in 2009. But ladies and gentlemen, just when we thought the United Workers' Party could get no worse than Ron Green, they have now brought you, Lennox Linton. I am saying to you this evening, Lennox Linton is 10 times worse for Dominica than Edison James and Ron Green combined. Lennox Linton does not know, and he does not know. He doesn't know that he does not know. And that's what makes him a dangerous person in politics. And he told you that he's dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. He told you in Calypso singing that he's a dangerous man. So it's not me, Roosevelt Skerrit, saying so. It is Lennox Linton himself who is saying to Dominicans that he's a dangerous man. Let's understand this, ladies and gentlemen. The sort of reckless statements Lennox Linton has been making in respect of our foreign policy and his constant attacks on friendly nations tell me that he doesn't understand the system of government under which we operate. Maintaining relations with a country is one thing. Benefiting from those relations is another. I have said repeatedly, for example, that Barbados established diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China in 1978. That's 36 years ago. Dominica established relations with China a mere 10 years ago. Suffice to say, ladies and gentlemen, Barbadians are in awe of the direct assistance China has granted to Dominica in just 10 short years. So it is not enough tonight for Lennox Linton to say he will not sever ties with China. I keep warning Dominicans that relations are a two-way street. And my question repeatedly is, how do we know that China would want to do business with a man who at every turn has vilified and demonized its citizens and their government? Why is it that Lennox Linton, as leader of the UWP, has not embraced and endorsed the One China policy? You cannot and will not be taken seriously as a leader if you do not have the conviction to take a stand on the issue of China and Taiwan. Nobody is telling you as a leader of the UWP which to choose. But you have to choose. You are either with Taiwan or you are recognizing PRC as the one and only China. Tonight again, I ask Lennox Linton, where do you stand on the issue of China and the One China policy? And the same goes for Venezuela, Morocco, Cuba, Italy, and all the other countries from which Dominica has benefited tangibly over the last 14 years and which have been denounced and repudiated by Lennox Linton. Tonight I am challenging Lennox Linton. You are launching a manifesto tomorrow evening. I want you to spell out your foreign policy to the country. Your actions and utterances of the past 14 years suggest one thing. I want to hear tomorrow evening whether you shall be consistent or whether there shall be an about turn on the part of the United Workers' Party with respect to its foreign policy. And on that note also, I was reading recently where a spokesman of the UWP denounced the Citizenship by Investment program and called on the UWP to do the same. I want to hear from Lennox Linton where he stands in relation to the CBI program. And after all of these years of demonizing and vilifying the CBI program, whether it will be curtailed or carried on by the United Workers' Party administration. This is the big league, my friends. No longer can you just talk without realizing that what you say has implications and ramifications. You have denounced the CBI, even though your campaign is being financed by Henley and partners. I want Lennox Linton to say to this country whether he will abolish the Citizenship by Investment program. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is immune to the threat posed to this country's economy by the emergence of Lennox Linton as Prime Minister. If you have a thriving business in Dominica tonight and direct aid to this country is contained or curtailed, as a result of flawed foreign policy practices? How long do you believe your business will remain profitable? How long do you think your doors will remain open? I know that in this constituency of Roseau North reside many titans of big business in Dominica. I am saying to the business community tonight that Lennox Linton is a greater threat to your profit line than any hemispheric or global recession. Thanks to the enlightened policies of this Labour Party government, you were able to override the economic turbulence of 2008 and thereafter. Thanks to the cooperative and responsive leadership of this Labour Party, you were able to stave off the threat of natural disasters and also the impact of various diseases on our agricultural produce. But I am warning the business community in this country tonight that 12 months of the arrogance, incompetence, and total lack of know-how of Lennox Linton could set business in this country back by 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, which investor would wish to do business with a leader who is always vexed? A leader who has absolutely no charisma. A leader who is capable of getting angry and storming out from a negotiation at any time. I recall when I went to China to negotiate with the Chinese government, the meeting lasted for more than 10 hours. Can you see Lennox Linton sitting calm and dignified for over 8 hours, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see him winning the trust and confidence of world leaders? Lennox Linton has done nothing but curse and vilify people in the last 15 years. Now he wants to be this country's chief negotiator. He wants to be this country's chief diplomat. He wants to be this country's face, voice, and personality. Can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? Tonight, I want the voters of Roseau North to understand what beckons in this general elections campaign. These general elections are about life or death for Dominica. I am saying tonight that Lennox Linton cannot run Dominica, and furthermore, that the economy of Dominica cannot survive 18 months, far less 5 years, of Lennox Linton as Prime Minister. Young men of Mokole and surrounding districts, prior to October last year, had you ever seen Lennox Linton passing through your neighborhood and stopping to say hello? Lennox Linton lives just over the hill from here in Mount Daniel. With all the Taiwanese money he has been spending over the years, has he ever sponsored a youth group, a drama society, a sporting body in this community, or any community around Dominica for that matter? Has he ever visited a church in this community or sponsored a prize at a school graduation? I have said before, and I will say it again this evening, politics is about people. To succeed in politics, you first have to love people. Lennox Linton loves no one but Lennox Linton. Lennox Linton is seeking tonight to be Prime Minister because he believes that since Roosevelt Skerrit became Prime Minister, he has a right to become Prime Minister as well. That is all that is driving him. It's simply, ladies and gentlemen, a grudge he has against Roosevelt Skerrit. But Roosevelt Skerrit went to school and learned. Roosevelt Skerrit was involved in his community. Roosevelt Skerrit ran an opposition seat and won handsomely in 2000. Roosevelt Skerrit is a people's person, a humble person, a charismatic person, and a loving and lovable person. None of these things Lennox Linton is or can ever be. So how do you believe you can get where Roosevelt Skerrit is, Mr. Lennox Linton? Imagine Lennox Linton prides himself as a leader in waiting. But tonight, with 2/3 of the general election campaign behind us, he is yet to articulate to the country a clear and coherent vision for taking us forward. Not only must we view whatever he says in his manifesto with suspicion, as it comes a full 2 weeks after Labour launched theirs, and clearly you would have got an opportunity to copy, but even more alarming is that up to tonight, he still cannot get it printed. No. No, you hear them chatting all this nonsense about getting 100% local. I know for a fact, and I challenge Alex Linton to deny that he was for days chasing down Honorable Asad Michael in Antigua, begging him to print his manifesto. I challenge Alex Linton to deny that agents of his were trying to get the manifesto laid out and printed in Barbados. I challenge Alex Linton tonight to deny that they only tried getting it printed in North America, but were told it could not be produced and printed in time to make the Amerijet this week, and next week would be laughable for them to be launching a manifesto. Ladies and gentlemen, do not buy this nonsense of his choosing local. He chose local when all else had failed. And what happened when he chose local? He went to an establishment. In all fairness, I would not call them a printery because they're not a printery. He went to an establishment to have the 68-page document printed, but only 2 copies were Xeroxed. The place ran out of toner because they would not normally stock such large quantities of toner unless a firm order had been placed. Lennox Linton never notified them prior to last Sunday that he was bringing a job and toner for those machines is not something you have laying around. So the first establishment ran out of toner. The second place he turned to no longer operates as a printery, so he had to turn to a third place of paramount importance to print as many as possible between tonight and tomorrow morning. The printers there told me they'll be lucky if they get 1,000 copies of this document rolled up, dried, cut, and bounded by tomorrow evening. So I can tell Dominicans from now, there will not be any significant number of UWP manifestos in circulation tomorrow or the next day, because the great planner, Lennox Linton, forgot to plan. He was so ready for an election that he never had his manifesto completed, and he never made firm arrangements with a printery in Dominica or elsewhere to have it printed. That is the classic example, ladies and gentlemen, of the type of leadership mess-ups that Lennox Linton would administer were he to become Prime Minister of Dominica. A simple thing like a manifesto, which they knew 5 years ago was going to be needed in this campaign, they cannot get printed nearly 3 weeks into the election campaign, and they say they want to run a country. But not only are there mere 200 copies of the manifesto printed, I had a look at it this evening because I have a copy. Ladies and gentlemen, I had a look at it this evening, and I will let you be the judge. The thing looks like a jigsaw puzzle. There are not less than 46 pictures on the back, front, and inside covers. If you see the cover of the Workers' Party manifesto, it is as confusing to the eye as it is to the sensibilities of Dominicans. Only time will tell the level of plagiarism contained therein. So pay no attention to them and the last-minute effort to save a face. If you thought Ron Green was bad in 2009, wait till you see Lennox Linton's manifesto for 2014. A manifesto that is released 2 weeks after your opponent is not a manifesto to be taken seriously, as it is the product of copying and upping the ante. The fact remains this evening that the UWP has no vision and no plan for taking this country forward. But the leadership of the UWP was not only scurrying around today trying to get a manifesto printed. They also spent the day on the telephone harassing the home and office of Pastor Donnie McClelkin. Workers at the pastor's office must be tonight wondering what sort of people is Dominica or place is Dominica. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, you had Dominicans, persons who say they love this country and want to lead it, calling Pastor Donnie McClelkin's office and home all day today, giving him 101 reasons why he should not visit Dominica. They went as far to say his safety could not be guaranteed. They told him hotel accommodation in Dominica was not up to par. They told him the road from the airport was too long and winding. Not only did they post all sorts of negative comments on his Facebook page, but they actually called and harassed his home and office, ladies and gentlemen. They threatened to report him to the IRS. All manner of intimidatory tactics were employed by the leadership of the United Workers' Party in the past 48 hours to stop Donnie McClelkin from coming to Dominica. And he's not coming to Dominica to support or oppose any political party. Donnie McClelkin has been invited to Dominica to minister to the Dominicans in verse and in song. He will be having a concert on Friday evening, and we have made it clear it is a public concert and all are welcome. Why would Dominicans go to the extent of black-eyeing their own country in such a manner? Why would you give the impression that the safety of an international evangelist is not guaranteed in this country? Donnie McClelkin has visited all countries over the world. Only last week he was in Africa. Staff at his office said to us today they had never experienced such in their many years of ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, can you understand the desperation of these men and women calling themselves the United Workers' Party? But I am here tonight, I am here to report to you tonight that official contact was made with the office of Donnie McClelkin this evening, and his management team has made it clear that they view the provocation as a sign that their presence is needed here now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine a man who's coming to praise and worship and the Workers' Party saying to him, do not come to praise and worship with Dominicans? I am therefore I am pleased to reaffirm tonight that the international evangelist, Pastor Donnie McClelkin, will be ministering to the nation of Dominica Friday, November 20th, 2014 at the Windsor Park Stadium. I take this opportunity to invite all lovers of gospel music, all churchgoers, all Dominicans to this awesome evening of worship and blessings. Blessings we all need for this country and our families and ourselves. I just cannot believe the extent to which Lennox Linton and his cohorts would go, totally indifferent to the damage that their actions can and have caused to the image of Dominica. When I say, ladies and gentlemen, that these are dangerous men, I sense that you're beginning to get a better idea of what I mean. They will destroy Dominica in their bid to lead it. Only Lennox Linton can explain the logic of that. Voters of Dominica, you need to understand tonight that this country is not a second-hand car. That if you give it to Lennox Linton to drive and he wrecks it, you can pack it up and buy another. Dominica is all that most of us have. Dominica is all that most of us will ever get. Dominica belongs to us. And knowing what we all know about Lennox Linton, it would be suicidal to put his country in this man's hands. So tonight, I am saying to voters of Roseau North, let's put the issue of his campaign in perspective. This election is about Dominica. It is about outfitting this country with the best possible government. It is about positioning Dominica to strive and thrive in a global environment where relations are crucial for success. Tonight, I urge voters of Roseau North to stay with the Dominica Labour Party, to stay with Julius Timothy, to stay with Roosevelt Skerrit as Prime Minister, and let us together build and take this beautiful country of ours forward, ladies and gentlemen. Let us understand that this election, 2014, on December 8th, will be the most important election in the history of our country. Dominica is at the crossroads, ladies and gentlemen, and you need men and women who are determined and committed to lead and to represent you for another 5 years. This is not a time to sit on the fence and say you do not like Timothy or you do not like Skerrit. This is about your children. It's about the future of Dominica. And search your conscience and tell yourself which is the best party to lead Dominica at this time. Tell me, how many of you here in Fokole believe that you can walk up the steps of the Prime Minister office if Lennox Linton were Prime Minister tomorrow? I challenge you, the voters of Roseau North and Fokole in particular. How many of you have Lennox Linton's cell number and you can WhatsApp him or message him? How many of you? How many of you have Danny Luge's number? But how many of you has Roosevelt Skerrit's number and Julius Timothy's number? I'm saying to the women of Roseau North, the young single mothers of Roseau North, that when Lennox Linton called you prostitutes, he was referring to every single woman in this country. And I cannot understand how any woman in this country who loves herself, who values herself, who respects herself, who has self-worth, would want to vote for Lennox Linton as Prime Minister of Dominica. So I'm saying to us, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying to us, and I'm very happy, I am very pleased. I am very pleased and comforted that when I go across Dominica every night, because as you know, I have been at the meetings every night, and I see the number of new faces who were not there in 2009. People who I knew our Workers' Party supporters are with Labour now because they recognize that there is no way they can continue to support the Workers' Party. I say to you, welcome. Welcome to a progressive party, a party that respects people, a party that cares for Dominica. Because your vote is for yourself and for your children and for a better and more prosperous and more just Dominica. So I'm happy to see you. Because every night we get a former UWP supporter testifying of how Labour has impacted the lives. Because you know, ladies and gentlemen, that when you come to my office, I do not ask you whether you support Labour or UWP. You come to me as a Dominican. Somebody seeking help from the government, and I help you. Some of you, I know that you are UWP supporters, but you come to me as your Prime Minister, and I can't turn you back because you did not vote for me in 2009. So I'm saying to you here in Roseau North that you have the best man for Roseau North, a man who is committed, a man who has spent thousands of dollars of his own money, Julius Timothy, one of the most committed men in politics in Dominica. Let us vote back Julius Timothy on December 8th, and let us continue the excellent work that Timothy has done for Roseau North and Dominica as a whole. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May God bless you. May God bless Dominica. May God bless our country as we move on to victory on December 8th. I see victory for Dominica. I see victory for the women of Dominica. I see victory for the children of Dominica. I see victory for a better, more prosperous, and more just Dominica under the Dominica Labour Party. Thank you. Thank you.